many of you enjoy sitting down and having a nice hot slice of pizza or waking up to have a delicious glazed donut?
Yes, oh yes.
I agree with all of you. Both of those foods used to make my stomach growl. Before a little over a year ago, I was able to eat all of those foods, and gluten was the majority of the things I ate. Now I am gluten intolerant. Think back to everything that you have eaten today. Did you have a sandwich today, or maybe a bowl of cereal? Both of those have gluten in them. Just how difficult do you think it would be to have to avoid all of the gluten that you've had today? There are many people that have no idea what gluten is. The term gluten is referred to as a substance that is present in grains, especially in wheat, that gives dough its texture. Gluten is in many different things, anywhere from soup to ice cream. When I became gluten intolerant, I was shocked at the amount of things that I was unable to eat. Gluten is used in many different foods as a filler and thickener for textures. A gluten intolerance is when gluten has an unpleasant effect on a person's body. The body will actually reject the gluten, making it very difficult for the body to regularly digest it. An intolerance is not the same thing as an allergy. A food intolerance is usually caused by an enzyme deficiency, which causes the body difficulty with digesting certain things. With an intolerance, people can tolerate different amounts of the substance. Therefore, the tolerance ranges between the person and how much the person can have before symptoms occur. An enzyme deficiency can be inherited from one person to another. It is caused when two parents pass on their genetics, each with a defective copy of the enzyme. This then causes the child who inherits this to develop the genetic metabolic disorder. Thank you guys. Cellulase deficiency, which is an enzyme deficiency within the small intestines, is known as a malabsorption syndrome, and it is caused by an enzyme that was not produced, or it was produced in a way that it doesn't allow the enzyme to function properly. An allergy has nothing to do with enzymes. The slightest bit of a substance could be eaten or even touched, and an allergy outbreak can happen. Allergic reactions to foods can also be life-threatening, whereas an intolerance is typically less severe. When you have a food intolerance, symptoms typically occur within your digestive system, causing bloating, abdominal pain, and diarrhea. However, it can also cause muscle disturbances, bone and joint pain, and even headaches or dizziness. Gluten-free seems to be the new trend, not only because of the rising number of gluten intolerances, but also because many people are trying to avoid having gluten in their diet. The gluten that people eat today versus the gluten that was eaten decades ago is much more refined and is filled with different preservatives and additives. These different preservatives and additives could be a reason for the random outbursts of gluten intolerances across the United States. People are consuming gluten at a much higher rate than before. Gluten is also being processed differently than decades ago. I read an article about a woman who had been suffering from gluten intolerances for the past 2 years. She had become increasingly intolerable to gluten and couldn't eat it anymore. The woman decided to take a trip to Hungary in Europe and said that she could not resist their fresh baked breads and all of their gluten-filled items. Figuring that she would just become ill, she decided to eat them and try them while she was there. However, she never became sick. In fact, she ate different breads, cakes, croissants, and none of them ever affected her whatsoever. The fact of the matter is what is being placed into our gluten and wheat that is causing such an uproar of intolerances across the United States alone. Some health experts have said that majority of people have a slight intolerance for gluten, some more than others. The additives placed in the substance make you curious as to whether or not this is good for you. Maybe a gluten-free diet is healthier after all.